Hey guys, I'm Lighthouse, and these are the patch notes for the 26th of September 2018 patch, the There Is No Patch Notes edition. So, just like in last week's patch notes, there is no patch this week. The last time this happened was during the LeaseWeb era, back when the state of the game was really bad and there was constant lag, and they attempted to go to a bi-weekly patch system, and after 1 week, it had disastrous results and they returned to the weekly patch. So hopefully that doesn't happen this week, but we will have to see. So this week, there are a couple new events starting under the Moonlight and the Uncommon Silver Tree, as well as, of course, Pearl Shop sales and other normal things. So Moonlight Shard is just the event that's happened a few times now. You get Moonlight Shards for staying online. Do simple alchemy using a Moonlight Shard and a memory fragment, and you are guaranteed at least one memory fragment, at most 3. And you can also receive a Moonlight Shard back, which means you could essentially get infinite memory fragments if the RNG was with you. So, Young Common Silver Tree, do it as quickly as possible because it goes away very quickly. People grow the tree in every server, usually within the first couple days, and as a result, the rewards are then finished. You cannot get any more rewards once the tree is finished growing, unless they change the event this time. So because there's no patch notes, I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of the state of the game, my thoughts on the game, and the game in general, just to kind of fill up the time a bit. Feel free to stop listening right now if you want to know about patch notes. There are no more patch notes. There's no patch this week. There are already complaints about lag, and that might get worse going through the week if we judge by past history. Anyways, the state of the game. So, Black Desert currently has less players than it's had at other times in its lifespan, with the sole exception being generally, as long as for the sort of Steam charts have existed, which is the only way we can get numbers, when last August happened and the pay-to-win debacle started. Now, there's kind of two different camps as to why the numbers are down. One is the camp that blames Cacao and Pearl Abyss for being super greedy, implementing more and more pay-to-win, melting outfits for cronstones, all that stuff. The other camp is the camp that says there are a bunch of new games that have come out recently that have drawn Black Desert players away to play these games. And both camps have merit. In fact, I'm sure that's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B situation, where players have left because of both reasons, and I'm sure this was also done intentionally by Cacao and Pearl Abyss to obfuscate the numbers lost because of pay-to-win. Now, the games that came out recently, there's 2 that people always mention, and there's a third that I personally consider another big reason. So the first is Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World was, of course, the long-awaited online version of Monster Hunter, the first ever version of Monster Hunter to come to PC. People have been waiting for Monster Hunter PC for many, many years now. Dauntless came out earlier this year, but people wanted the real thing because Monster Hunter World came out earlier this year as well, but only for console. It finally released on PC, and of course, lots of players flocked over to it. However, as a primarily PvE-focused game, Monster Hunter World I do not feel would hold the attention of Black Desert players, or most players in general, for as long as people think. The sort of general duration for how long most people seem to play games like Dauntless and Monster Hunter World is about a week before, maybe up to 2 weeks, depending on how long it takes you to get to endgame, before you kind of stop playing for a little while and wait for new bosses and new monsters to be introduced to the game, as well as new armor and weapons to create, at which point you go back and play again for another week or 2. World of Warcraft is obviously the biggest contender for games that could take away Black Desert's player base. World of Warcraft is the biggest MMO ever to exist. Its subscriber numbers are insane. I think it's got 7 expansions now. It's the longest lived MMO that is still successful by a long shot. And with its brand new expansion having kicked off last August, people went back to the game in droves. I went back to the game myself. It was a lot of fun. I even plan to make videos on it, so I guess I'll give you guys a little answer to that as well right here. However, around that time, people started to see that Battle for Azeroth is an unfinished game. It's a game that feels rushed and that should probably have had a few more months in development before being released. Battle for Azeroth has an amazing leveling experience, and the early dungeons are great. I very much enjoyed running Heroics and later Mythics to gear up. especially with friends, and especially under-geared, because it was a lot more fun when you're having problems because you need to creatively find solutions because your gear isn't very good. But around the time that the first raid released, people are starting to see that a lot of the content in Battle for Azeroth is unfinished. The early leveling as well as early dungeons feel great. The raid is extremely fun. However, the game itself has a lot of stuff that needs more polish and a lot of stuff that could really have used some more revisions before being released to the player base. People that played in the beta tried to warn the players of this, warning that it was unfinished, warning that the game was not ready for release, but the early leveling managed to kind of tide players over for at least the first couple weeks before they realized the problems with the game. Now, this is very evident for at least some classes that have been quite literally told by Blizzard that their class will not be viable, at least competitively, until 8.1 or even 8.2, while Blizzard tries to finish deciding how the class should play and finish revising the class's playstyle. So Battle for Azeroth, it was great for the first month, but now players have started to go back to other games while they wait for Battle for Azeroth to be fixed. They'll probably still log in for Mythics or for the raid, but they don't really feel the need to do dailies or any of the other stuff World of Warcraft has to offer to keep players engaged. So those are the big two, but there's a third game that I personally consider as being another reason a lot of players have left, and that game was released at the sort of beginning of September. Destiny 2 Forsaken is the third expansion for Destiny 2. Now Destiny 2, similar to World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth, had a very rocky launch. Amazing leveling, a good story, way better than Destiny 1's vanilla story anyways, and the game, as always, by Bungie, is really fun. Destiny has always been known for its super smooth gunplay, its amazing feel as you sort of go through the game, and, well, obviously, space magic in an FPS. But Destiny 2 lacked any real endgame, because there was no grind once you hit endgame. Exotics, the sort of boss gear, but even better equivalent, were given out like candy, and most players found themselves with almost every exotic they wanted after about 2 to 3 weeks of playing. Legendaries could only roll one set of perks for each different legendary, which means that you got a legendary once and you never had to get it ever again. Infusion, which allowed you to bring up older gear to a higher level, was dirt cheap, and resources were given out super freely. As a result, most players found themselves with nothing to chase after, only 2 to 3 weeks into the game. And in a looter shooter like Destiny 2, that's not really a good thing, because while the core gameplay is fun, what makes it a lot of fun for a lot of players is hunting for that god roll, hunting for that exotic that makes their playstyle just work, or grinding something repeatedly until they finally get that drop they've been looking for. Without any of that, Destiny 2 suffered, and especially when its first two expansions came out, and they were very badly received by critics and fans, Destiny 2 was in trouble. But Forsaken fixes a lot of that. The grind is back, with a vengeance even. Players are saying that Bungie has fixed a lot of the problems with the game, and people are happy with Destiny again, which means players have flocked back to Destiny 2, away from the games they fled to once Destiny 2 sort of revealed itself to have nothing going on for it. So these three games, I think, have sort of all combined to take away Black Desert's player base, at least by a little bit. There are obviously other games that have come out that have probably contributed, but these would be the big three, the MMOs, the loot-based games that sort of resemble Black Desert. Now, I'm not going to say which one took away the most players, I'm not going to say if any of them have permanently taken away players, and I'm not going to make a call on whether or not Black Desert has lost more players due to Pearl Abyss and Cacao, or other games releasing. However, it's pretty clear to anyone that has checked the Steam charts recently that Black Desert has been losing players, and is still losing players despite releasing BDO Remastered, and despite the recent announcement of Dragon, which, I'll be honest, 2 months is way too far away for Dragon. It should not be November, it should be like October, and it should be like soon in October, like October like 8th or something. But anyways, yeah, so a lot of games have come out recently that have cut into Black Desert's market share. Black Desert itself has sort of been self-sabotaging recently, but it is what it is. There's not much else you can do about it. And yeah, it's still a really fun game. I personally think Black Desert has the highest potential of any MMO if Pearl Abyss and Cacao would just kind of stop deciding to milk the whales dry and instead try to cater to more of the average fan base. But at least Black Desert is still fun. The core gameplay remains unchanged. It's just there's more pay to win in the game, and content is being delayed. Anyways, before I go, I'm sure many people have noticed that there's been less videos over the past 2 to 3 weeks. So I guess I'll give you guys a quick explanation now. I'm going to give a longer explanation on Friday, I think, and probably an update from Lighthouse. But don't worry, I'm not going away. Life has just been getting in the way a lot recently. I've been very busy with a few issues of my own, as well as work. And Saturday, I missed my Saturday video for the first time in many months this Saturday. Partially because of all that, and partially because I got back from a wedding in the early hours of the morning, and also a tornado had just torn through my town, which made things a little difficult, especially because it hit a local power station. So I'm going to be getting back to creating more videos soon. I can't guarantee that every video is going to be Black Desert going forward. I promise I'll keep making week in review, patch notes, and probably at least one Black Desert video a week. But with the amount of Black Desert videos I've made, it's getting harder and harder to find videos that I haven't made, that I either want to make or am qualified to make. So if people give specific requests, either in Discord on the videos themselves, and they get upvoted, I'll definitely make those videos. But for the most part, I'll be sticking to kind of 3 Black Desert videos a week, patch notes, week in review, and probably a guide video or an opinion video, and making videos for other games, sort of in the interim, or even just for gaming in general. Anyways, guys, as always, thanks for watching. No patch notes this week. Kind of a disappointment, but it's not like there's been much in the patch notes the last few weeks anyways. I would know. As always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.